Hey everybody, it's your friend Bryand G, CEO here at Golden Digital Solutions. So today I want to touch base on one of the consistent questions I know that marketers come across with clients, right? Like, why shouldn't I just have somebody in house, my niece or nephew or sister or son, manage this for me? I think it's better if I have them manage it for me because they're with us all the time and things of this sort. And they typically come at me with this question in order to find a way to rebuttal that and convince the client that it's preferable for them to hire a firm like mine. But I have to tell them the best way to convince a person is to have them think for themselves, right? To set themselves up in a scenario and consider the pros and the cons. So in a scenario where a person wants somebody in-house, it's to say, okay, they have a better visualization of exactly what they're doing on a consistent basis, or I'll be able to be more involved in the process. When somebody tells me that, that's typically what they say. Now, it's very possible that they have a specialist that's a family member or a close friend, but on a typical basis, they're not going to be able to provide them the same service that a team will be able to provide, of course, right? That's one of the pros that you might be able to illustrate to the person asking this question. And the cons, of course, and that's the pros of utilizing a business or a firm, right, instead of going in-house. Second of all, we have to have them be realistic with themselves. And in the majority of cases with customers, I'm always asking them, I need you to provide me more real content. Take pictures of the jobs that you do. Take a picture with your crew. Whenever you're going towards a quote that you're about to provide, take a video of that. I'm consistently giving them ideas and even scripts and things of this sort on what they do. And they always tell me the same thing: I don't have time. And some do take my advice, but they're very inconsistent with, doing these type of things. So when they provide me that, like, I illustrate that to the person asking me this question. I tell them, like, okay, you say that you're going to be more involved. You'll be able to, have a better view of exactly what's going on and things of this sort. But, that requires time in itself. And with the process that we have at this moment, you're not very much, involved in a sense as well. Or, we've always had this struggle with the amount of time that you have to help me with with what you need. So my suggestion is to always go about providing those pros and those cons and things of this sort, and challenge them on whether it's realistic, the expectation that they're setting for themselves, as well as the person that, they're considering bringing on in-house. Obviously, when you have a firm like mine that works in volume, the rate is never going to be the same as well. What I mean by that, a person might provide, like myself, you'd have to give them an hourly based salary with them, which would have to be at least minimum, unless, he doesn't pay any bills, and he's doing it as an internship or whatever that might be. And in that sense, you're not getting the same expertise at the same time, if that's the scenario. So they really do have to understand that there's not only financial benefits as well as experience. The individuals that are at a firm are typically, graduated and studied this, of course, when it comes to marketing, and dedicate their so much time to it on a consistent basis, right? In order to put out a good product and add value to the business in general, they have to hire people that know or have been shown this. So realistically, there's more cons than pros to hiring somebody in-house in general, financially, as well as the quality of work that might take place, as well as volume, where someone might pay me, let's say, for consistent posting and just social media management with graphic designs, videos on all different platforms, around $400 a month, let's say, right? Well, nobody's going to work in-house to be a full-time dedicated to a business for $400 a month. That's just not realistic, right? So since we work with volume, a firm like mine can't possibly do something like that, right? Where we have dedicated specialists for every, area that, you need to upload videos to. Or let's say one person does the written content, another person might do the actual graphic design, and there's, a team that does the brainstorming, of course. And obviously $400, a number that I'm using as hypothetical. There's clients that pay a lot more, and there's even some that, that can pay less than that. But in a general sense, on a monthly basis, what you provide, that's not going to be realistic on an in-house end. So this is something that, the way I respond to an individual that is considering going house, I think that if you have the financial means to it, if you could bring a marketing team onto, in-house, then that's excellent. I'm very familiar with the amount of work that comes into marketing in general, and for a person to be, let's say, a paid ads expert, as well as a graphic designer, as well as a content writer, as well as a social media guru in general, right? As well as knowing search engines and stuff like this. This is something that you will find primarily with firms, but not a specific individual. So for that, I think that there's very little pros that you could actually come up with for in-house than you would for hiring a firm. And this is just my take on it. I've had much experience with this. I've had a lot of customers go, which I tell them, try it out, because I'm very confident in the service. I'm very confident with the fact of the way we communicate with things, and how how much hours it takes for us to provide them what we promised initially, right? And give them what they need, as far as making sure that the brand is taken care of on a consistent basis. We're uploading images and videos, and with a professional description that's also strategic in a certain way, and a dedicated Google ads or Bing ads, or just search engine marketing or paid advertising specialist, right? Someone that knows SEO and things of this sort that can help them out. And just the team that comes with it is something that is a lot of overhead for a company to take on. And if they're concerned about cost, or if they're concerned if they're not concerned about cost, then I think that, that's possibly one of the best things to have in-house. But obviously the return on investment, you have to measure out. So that's my tip for the day on how to respond to those type of scenarios. Of course, right? Challenge them on it. I would say challenge them on, how cost effective they realistically believe it's going to be for them. Challenge them on, if they say it's because they want to be more involved, how much time do they have that's, now, versus how much they expect to have a little later. That's always something that I bring up, and I hope that this message helped you guys out, for whoever has this type of question. And it came up most recently, so I figured I shared it with you. Anyways, I'm out, team, and we will be back soon. Have a good day.